I never know how to start podcasts. I like your What Up Witches. I need something like that, but I don't have that yet. What Up HSPs? All right. In today's podcast, I am here with my lovely friend, Aja, and I'm now going to butcher her last name. It's Daigneault or
Oh, you got
Daigneault.
it.
I got it,
You
really?
nailed it. You
I was
totally
like,
nailed it.
oh man. I know that one of your specialties and what we're going to get into today is what people attract to themselves over and over again and these cycles that people get into. And so today's episode, we're going to talk about how you can identify the things that you're attracting that maybe you don't want to be attracting and break out of the cycle. So you can identify, okay, am I attracting whatever it is, whether it's emotionally unavailable men, whether it's no men, whether it's, casual dates, whether it's really intense, overbearing men. I mean, whatever that is for you, identifying what cycle am I in and how can I actually break out of this cycle?
Welcome to Seeking True Love, a podcast for highly sensitive, intuitive, growth-oriented women who are tired of shrinking themselves to fit into someone else's version of love. I'm Elizabeth Rave, dating and relationship coach for highly sensitive women, lifelong romantic, and yes, I'm a highly sensitive woman myself. Maybe you've asked yourself, why is this so hard for me? Why does love feel overwhelming or just out of reach? This podcast is here to help you understand yourself more deeply, trust your intuition again, and approach love in a way that actually works for women like us. Because love isn't something you chase, it's not some fairy tale, and it's not something that you just find one day. It's something you become ready for, because your love story should be extraordinary.
You're just right for me, and I'm just right for you, and I'll take your heart and squeeze so softly, so sweetly, forever love.
Aja is a certified law of attraction coach and intuitive guide with over 2 decades of leadership experience. She has a unique understanding of how personal growth impacts professional success. Oh, that's so true. And her mission is to help women uplevel their lives one relationship at a time, beginning with the one they have with themselves. Through her one-on-one coaching and podcast, Invincible Us, Aja teaches women to harness their intuition and divine feminine energy, helping them to heal the witch wound and attract meaningful connections. Her guidance empowers clients to embody a life of purpose, leading to deeply fulfilling friendships, aligned careers, and soulful, reciprocal love, which is that last thing is, I think, really what we're going to talk about today. But I just want to say I love your podcast. And
Thank you.
I know that I was on your podcast recently, and
Yes.
now you're on my podcast. And I hope this is the beginning of many appearances that we have on each other's podcasts. Can you just talk real quick about the witch wound? Because that's maybe terminology that not everybody knows what you mean by that.
Yeah. I definitely would. It's my life's purpose. At least at the moment, life's purpose has changed, right, over time.
Mhm.
So the witch wound is a concept where thousands upon thousands of people for centuries, don't quote me on the dates, something like 14 something, I don't know, year on. The most famous ones being the Salem witch trials in the US, where we're at. But for centuries, people watched, mostly women, but basically anybody who was an outcast, had land, had power, was a little weird to the norm or whatever, basically get assaulted, murdered, hung, mutilated, tortured, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it was just awful. People were just naming each other witches to get their land or if they pissed them off or whatever. And it was mostly women. And um, what that has done over time is all of those people have that generational wound. And so those thousands of people for those decades have passed that on through their epigenetics, which is a whole nother podcast, but their epigenetics, their vibrational connections that they have with each other over time, and essentially generational trauma. These are all different terms of saying the same thing of you got a lot of baggage from your family back in the day, and they're just teaching you the same thing based off of hiding who you are, hiding your magic. I happen to be somebody who openly says witchcraft, I'm a witch, but truly what it comes down to is just owning that I am a woman, that I have beliefs that aren't mainstream for a lot of folks, and it puts me on the outs of some of society, and that puts you in a danger zone. And that for many people is painful for them to see someone else doing it because it makes them fearful, and they may not even know why they're fearful, why their fight or flight comes up, and it's because of the witch wound is still open and alive because we've been being taught to hide as weirdos and witches and women and all these other things. We've been taught to hide ourselves from someone else who might want what we have. And that has culturally just been passed down over and over again. And that's where we come in with our podcasts and our coaching to help women specifically, but anybody overcome those wounds, to heal them, allow them to close finally, so that not only can they thrive in their divine feminine in their relationships, but they can also help future generations, whether they choose to have children or the people around them who are having children. They're helping foster a new generation with less of that trauma passed down. So I
That's
hope that was
beautiful.
a big old rant, but yeah,
No, I
that's where I'm
loved
at.
it. And I want to add to that because I know that when I was on your podcast, we talked about this as well, that the piece about being highly sensitive, that was also probably something that got some of those women flagged in the past
Mhm.
for, oh, she's a witch because she's so in tune with herself or with nature. And
Yep.
one of the pain points for highly sensitive people is it can be harder to put your head down and do what you're told in
Yep.
situations where you don't have a choice, whether that's being repressed by a patriarchy, a husband in an era where you can't own property as a woman or you can't make your own money as a woman, or whether that's in some kind of wartime situation where there's soldiers coming in and ordering you around and telling you what to do and oppressing you, or an oppressive government. That, there are people who maybe can sort of just put their head down and go with it, whether or not they want to. And that's not easy on anybody, but it is harder for a highly sensitive woman. And so any woman who's going to speak up or even just show discomfort or
Mm.
call someone out, because you can pick up on somebody's emotions or somebody's energy, and even just having a response of, I don't trust this man or I don't trust this person, that even those little, let's call them missteps, they're not really missteps, that's your intuition, but at the time, it's that could have been the difference between being called a witch or not, or being subjected to that or not. That's
Yeah.
probably in there as well. So this is why I'm really happy to have you on the podcast, is that I think you are speaking to a different facet of this wounding around your own nervous system and your own rhythms, your own sense of the world, whatever that is, and owning that and being true to that, and not letting yourself be dictated or pretzeled into something else because it's more convenient for the people around you.
Yes. Oh my God, convenience. I just recorded a podcast about the act of receiving and how hard that is for us as humans, but as women. And it really does come from, you don't want to make other people upset. And it's insane how many women, and speaking of intuition, I mean, we're highly sensitive women, yes, 100%. If there was a Venn diagram, I imagine that witches, shamans, whatever you want to call it, yourself or anyone, that diagram probably is just one circle with highly sensitive and those people in it. There's no crossover. I think we're all just highly sensitive people. Honestly, it's the most boring Venn diagram ever, just one solid color. But the act of conforming to hide and to make someone else feel better is so ingrained in our society that we can't take compliments half the time, and we have to teach ourselves to say thank you just for a compliment because we're worried that giving the impression that we're okay with being complimented or being given money or a gift, if we're okay with that, that means we think we're too good or we're too powerful for something, and we have to give that other person a reason not to have to give it to us. It's in this whole mind trip I've been thinking about recently based on something I had with one of my coaches about the act of receiving in order to give. But it just clicked on me. I was like, yes, yes.
I know that one of your specialties and what we're going to get into today is what people attract to themselves over and over again and these cycles that people get into. I first want to address, why is it so important to break out of these cycles? Like, why can't I just go on a dating app or go out and just meet a guy and have that work out? Like, why do I actually need to break out of a cycle? Why does somebody actually need to break out of a cycle to make this work?
I mean, if you're stuck in a mold, you can't expect different results by doing the same thing. What's that line that I'm going to totally misquote by a very famous person I should know the name of, but it's like the definition of crazy is doing the same thing over and over again. And that's regardless of your belief system. Like, that's proof in the pudding. You just can't continue to do the same behaviors and expect a different result. If you're training a dog, we'll just go with that. You're training a pupper, and you want them to sit and stay, and you don't put them back in that spot. They get out, they run around, they do something every time you say sit and stay, and then you give them love, which is what they want, or you give them attention when they did something wrong. They're not going to go sit and stay when you tell them to sit and stay, because you fucking were doing all the things that they wanted in the first place. Instead, when you're teaching them to sit and stay, you wait until they sit and stay, you ignore them until they do, and then you praise. So humans obviously a little bit different. There are definitely some relationships that you do that exact same thing, sit and stay, they're fun. But in essence, you gotta figure out what it is that you want first, and then go on the dating app. Because if you just go on the dating app, if you're just trying to get a quick fling, or you don't, yeah, if you just want a quick fling, go for it. Have fun on your dating app, but you're probably going to end up bitter as fuck and, poor decision making at the time. Or a good story. I mean, either way, but if you're going for something deeper, more meaningful, you need to be able to address what you constantly bring in. If your friends and family call you out on having a type of person, that's it's legit. They saw the pattern for you. There's a reason you always go after brunettes. There's a reason you always go after dudes who don't have a job. There's a fucking reason for it. You need to figure out what that is. And if you don't want that, you have to try something different. And the only way to try something different and break that cycle is to go inner.
What even is a cycle? Like, when somebody says, I'm stuck in a cycle, what even is that?
A cycle is you're basically on a hamster wheel, and you're that little hamster stuck in whatever relationship you keep getting. So I'll use myself as an example. I consistently dated men that were highly aggressive, very abusive, mentally abusive, some physical, and drugs, and just a lot of distasteful things that I was attracted to at the time. And I thought that it was, in my brain at the time, it was a phase for that person and therefore a phase for me, versus now I know I was constantly just rotating that hamster wheel of men that were the same, though they might look different. I was cycling through, and what I find women do, a lot of people do, is they'll think, oh, this one person is the problem. And if I get away from this one person to a new person, that problem won't come with me. Well, typically we figure out we have a type, and the type is actually us. we're
Yeah.
broadcasting us. If we have manipulative partners, we're manipulative. We may just not manipulate in the same way. Maybe we're manipulating that person to act that way. I had a partner that definitely wasn't, he didn't have that in him from what I could tell until being with me, and I cultivated that out of him because he thought that's what I wanted. He didn't do it consciously. I wasn't doing it consciously, and it was the power of the law of attraction just working as it do, because it does what it does regardless. And so what I teach and what we're talking about today is how, when you realize that you're attracting, that's the first step. When I keep bringing in the same dudes over and over and over again, one of the first things I ask somebody is, what are the things in that person that you do not like? They hurt you, they lie to you, they cheat on you, they don't put the toilet seat down, whatever. What are those things? Okay.
I
Hey,
still
there's
have one of
extremes.
those.
There's extremes. So you gotta
I
some
don't
of us
really
get some of
care.
this
I'll
stuff.
just put it down.
Yeah.
But I just, you
Yeah.
made me laugh because I still walk into the bathroom now and I'm, God damn it.
Yeah. Some of them are real big deals, some of them aren't.
Yeah.
But there are all these list of things. So I have them list out everything that they don't like about their partner that they currently have, or partners they've had in the past. Then, okay, what do you want your partner to do? What do you want them to be like? And they'll list out all these great things. And it can be as fanciful as they want. Knight in shining armor, fucking old school Fabio hair, whatever the fuck you want. Put it in there. Puts the toilet seat down and leaves flowers for you on it. I don't know. Put it all in there.
On the toilet.
Yeah, I don't know. Cool.
That's
So
cool.
we'll have our list. We look at that list. I'm like, okay, what of these do you do? And I have them really think about that. Like, hey, what do you do? We'll use manipulation, like I talked about before. Are you a manipulator? And this goes to shadow work, where you see what it is in you that's broadcasting to other people and to the universe around you in the area that your experience. What do you do to manipulate? And so let's say that person's, usually we have some blockages there, but eventually we'll talk through it and we'll come up with, hey, you know what? I manipulate at work to get the best shift possible. So I'll go around and speak to every single person who's in that shift and really talk to them about how my kids need me after school. And I'll really give them all the reasons that they should let me have the shift without saying that they should let me have the shift. That's manipulation. Okay, so you're a manipulator. You are putting into the world what you want. You're putting out there that you want these things. So the universe is giving back to you a manipulator, a cheater, a liar. That's the same thing. Once you own, I found once we own that and we understand we are that person, though it may look different, it's the same thing. Then we can go to the other list of all these beautiful things that we want and do the same thing. Cool. So what are you out of those things? Do you have glorious Fabio hair? Do you put roses in the bathroom for yourself? If the answer is no to any of those things, okay, well, you can't meet somebody who doesn't match you where you are. That's not possible. The law of attraction will only bring to you what you are because you're a reflection of your universe. And so once you own even parts of your shadow self, the manipulator, whatever it might be, you own that, you understand that's a part of you, and you know the things in your other list, your desires, are things you actually can control. You can get your Fabio hair, dye it blonde, treat yourself right. Essentially, that's what that is you want a man that treats himself well and takes care of himself. Cool. Take care of yourself. Dress up. Do those things that you want your man to do. Same thing if you want, I don't know why I'm sticking with the toilet roses, but here we go.
I'm going to tell my boyfriend I want toilet roses and he's going to laugh
Toilet
so hard and
roses.
be like,
Yes.
no. He's going to like, you put roses in the toilet if that's what you want, which is what you're
Like,
saying.
I will.
But you know what's funny about that is the reason why he's going to laugh at me is because he knows me and he knows I don't actually need toilet roses.
Toilet roses.
But I'm going to
But
tell
it's a cool
him
thing to say.
yeah. Now the clickbait line to promote this podcast is going to be get your toilet roses.
Get your toilet roses here, y'all. And you can get your own toilet roses, which is where this is going is
Yeah.
get your own toilet roses. Get your roses, put your flowers in the bathroom. I have a water closet where the toilet's separate from the rest of the bathroom. I'll put some fucking flowers on the windowsill. I'll see it. I'll be happy while I'm doing my business. I already brought my roses to me. I have told the universe I like these things. And now I have started to break the cycle of that hamster wheel of bullshit relationships because I'm not calling in what I once was. I'm now calling in what I am now, what I want my future self to be. And that's how the law of attraction pulls you toward the person you desire, the true person you desire. And they're going to mirror where you're already at. That's how you know. And you'll be able to see this kind of stuff really quick once you address your shadow self in that way and you start to realize you can create the relationship with yourself that you want with someone else by doing little micro actions or micro behaviors. You're going to start to see other people in your environment either slip away that don't match that new you, whether it's friends or past relationships, or you're going to see those relationships up level, which I find is most common because people do want people to be happy. So if you're with what you would call, or what I'd call a total shithead relationship right now, and you do these other things while you're in that relationship, there's a pretty big chance that person's going to up level because they actually wanted that the whole time with you. There's a reason they're with you. Sometimes they might fall apart, might go away. If there's a safety issue, right? I was in a relationship with safety issue, you have to get out. That's different, but
Yeah.
you still up level. That person attempted to up level to get back with me because I became the person that I wanted him to be the whole time, when really I just needed to be that person myself. And that's how that cycle breaks right there. It's just boop, become the
That is
person you want and you'll attract.
that is beautifully said. And I love hearing about your approach with the list and then looking through the list and saying, how can you do this for yourself? And probably the reason why I love it is because it's also what I do with my clients. Of course, we get along really well. Of course, we would have a similar approach.
Once you figure out what it is that you truly desire, then you can go out into the world and you can discover those relationships, whether it's, intimate or friendship, then you can start to do it. But if you're just running on your hamster wheel, you're just going to get the same shit over and over again, and time's going to keep passing regardless. So you might as well dig deep and figure it out and try something new.
I think that's also true. I appreciate you saying that because I think there are a lot of women, especially women, I would say in their 30s, who are worried that they're going to run out of time to have a family, that this becomes really salient because I'm like, look, if you are aware that you want to make this happen for yourself, I'm just going to be blunt before it's too late, you don't have time to waste running the hamster wheel. And the deeper you can go to get into what my side of the pattern is that's preventing me from meeting somebody that would commit to me, that would be a match for me, that would, want to start that family with me. It's like you can turn that around so quickly. But I remember I first moved to LA. I think this was before I became a dating coach. I moved to LA back in 2006 because I wanted to pursue a career in screenwriting. I got an internship with a management. I mean, I say it's a management company. It was a dude who was a manager running something out of his apartment. He managed actors and screenwriters. He was legit. It was like, home business, right? And he had a balcony overlooking the coast. And so I would sometimes take my lunch out there. It's so funny that I was there to learn the screenwriting business, and out of everything that happened while I worked for him, this was the moment that I was like, this was such a takeaway for me, that I was having lunch out there and he came out and we just started casually chatting about whatever. And somehow we got into the topic of his relationship. And he was like, I don't think it's going to work out. And I was like, what's going on? And what he said was, we've been together for 8 years. We got together when we're 30. Now we're 38. She wants to have kids. She's always wanted to have kids. I don't know if I want to have kids. I don't think I do. And it's not going to work out. And 26-year-old Elizabeth sat there and was like, what the fuck has this woman been doing with 8 of her childbearing years if this is so important to her? And he's a good guy. I'm having lunch with him. I'm not, there's some loser, right? It's not like he's some guy that nobody should date. But I was like, what is she doing with him? He seems like he's been pretty upfront with her this whole time. I don't know if this is what I want. I don't think this is what I want. And I think that's another way that this shows up for women is first, you could be just attracting non-starters and be perpetually single. But I think I've also seen a lot of women run this pattern where they stay with one person for many, many years and then they get broken up with, or it doesn't work out because, that guy doesn't really want to get married or doesn't really want to have kids. And then, no, now I'm 36 and I was with this guy for 7 years. And it's, but what did you spend 7 years trying to convert him? Why didn't you just find someone? I don't know if there's a belief that there are men who don't want families. There are so many men who want families.
That example you gave, it screamed shadow work to me, what I would call shadow work, because I was immediately thinking that woman was most likely spending 8 years blaming him for not having a kid when she actually doesn't want that responsibility. And I wish more people understood that it is okay if you want to have kids or not. It's absolutely okay. It's okay to be single. It's okay to date. It's fine. Like we're not in a situation. I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but have you ever seen Battlestar Galactica? This is the fucking weirdest segue.
No, but let's hear.
Okay, I'm going with it. It's sci-fi.
Yeah, go with it.
So basically, this woman who becomes president through numerous events, the world is destroyed. She is the president of these colonies that are just drifting around in space. And there's this episode where one of the people is pregnant and she doesn't want to have the baby. And everyone's up in arms. It's kind of like the play on women's rights in this series. But this woman this older woman is like, she's been fighting for women's rights her whole time, like her whole existence, but now she's perplexed because humanity needs to be like, we need people. There's very few of them. They can count how many humans there are very much. They can see them all. There's very few. So they need people. They need this baby for the race to survive. And she's torn between that. And that's what I'm thinking of, is that there's so many people out there who are treating birth as though it's their means to worthiness in a relationship, that it's supposed to happen because you're in a relationship, and that's not true. And there's so many people who treat it as though the human race is at the end and we need to procreate, and we fucking don't. We have way more people than we need. I have a kid. I procreated and I'm good with one. I didn't know if I'd want one forever. And then I decided, oh, cool, I do. And I'm glad I did. But like, it didn't come from a need of, oh, that's what I have to do. And I want more people to know that it's okay not to. Because your relationships, like you said, there's plenty of dudes out there that want that. They want a family. And there's plenty of dudes who don't. And we're just not being fair to each other if we're pretending that we do want kids, but we're staying with this other person who clearly doesn't and defined that they don't. We probably don't want kids if we're staying with them. And it's so much better if we just own it and release that into the world, because then you both can be super happy together knowing you're not going to have kids and just roll around in your extra money because the kids are expensive. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew I wanted kids, and I think that's why I didn't run into that issue. Ran into a lot of other issues, but didn't run into that issue with, in my life. I didn't have someone drag me out like that. It's probably because I had that conversation when I was in my mid-20s, because I made a promise to myself. I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to stay in a relationship where this person is expressing to me that they want something different than what I want.
Smart.
If you don't know what you want, that's okay too.
Yeah.
You're not going to figure out everything you want in life before getting into a relationship, but you want to have enough clarity on who you are and what you want that you're not going to just float around in somebody else's world and then get upset when it didn't work out.
Yeah. It's, just the law of attraction. If you don't know what you want, you're going to get a little bit of everything because you don't know what you want. And that's cool. But as you start to define yourself, you're going to be offered what you really want, because the universe knows what you truly desire. And if it's no kids or kids, if it's multiple partners, no partners, whatever your flavor is, therefore the universe knows. And it's going to give that to you. So if your outer self, if you're trying to fit a mold, for whatever reason, if it came from childhood molds, society molds, you saw a weird sitcom and you're like, that's how life is. Whatever it is you're trying to match, if it's not what you desire, you're always going to feel mismatched. You're going to get sick, physically sick. You're going to have mental illness. It plagues so many women out there because they're trying to fit these crazy molds. And really, it's so simple. Life can be so simple once you accept those parts of yourself, and the universe will bring people into your life. I want anyone listening to know, the universe will literally bring you anything you desire in the strangest, miraculous ways possible.
I think that's especially true in relationships.
It is. And there's such give and take in, every single relationship. If you choose a partner, and let's say it's your ideal partner, and you found the person of your dreams, they found the person of their dreams, you're still going to change over time. Like, imagine, I can imagine being with some of the people I was with in my 20s, because I had some fun in my 20s. I also had some drama, but I wouldn't say any of those were real relationship material. So those are just fun. But I think, man, if I had been with someone from my 20s, like I hear about people who have been with people since high school, and everybody takes a breath like, whoa, like, I can't believe you successfully did that. And almost everybody would think you're staying together for some reason, not a real love, or, oh, wow, they found true love. And really, you can find true love with anyone, really. We're made of love. You can love anybody. It's allowing the other person to be themselves and loving them for that is what allows for you to grow with someone. And I know when I look at really long-term relationships now, even long-term friendships, I'm not just talking intimate, but you look at those relationships and the growth that has to happen on both people's ends to be close in their relationship still over decades is insane. Insane. Because we change so much. Humans change their flavor all the time.
I want to hear your take on what is true love, because you've just started to talk about it. That is the question of this podcast.
True love is being able to express your true desires in physical, spiritual forms and allowing the other person and accepting them when they do the same. Those are really woo-woo way of saying accepting yourself. That's true love, because once you accept yourself, you'll be able to accept the other person.
Yeah, in your bio, you said the most important relationship is with yourself. You talked about accepting each other. One of the questions that came up for me in that is, yes, you need to accept each other, but you don't want to put up with, let's call it toxic behavior. So where do you start to make that distinction?
Yeah, so toxic behavior is going to be the thing that makes you, if you're physically ill all the time, if you are a person that has negative self-talk consistently, you wake up and you think, oh, fuck, they're snoring again, or any of that, you're most likely in something like that, and it's not healthy. Not everyone can tell what's toxic, because some people's toxic is not toxic to another. You have to agree to whatever it is. So when you're accepting of somebody else's behaviors, let's say they, I don't know, they cuss out the TV all the time. They watch sports. I'm using my example in my real life. There's a lot of toxic masculinity that goes into the way my partner watches sports, but it does not drift out of that moment. And his yelling and hollering and getting really upset over something in a football game or any of the other millions of sports. He watches all the sports. Oh my God. It doesn't transfer into anything else that I observe or interact with. It's a very isolated thing. So one person's toxic, which would be that, isn't toxic to me whatsoever. Me hearing him yelling at something, I just go into the other room and I know we're safe, we're okay. There are other people out there where that toxicity, that exact same behavior, that the person may go in and tell them to stop because it's bothering them. Maybe they're highly sensitive, which I am highly sensitive, and so that's why I leave the room. I have earplugs if it gets too much. But I give him his space to be able to watch his sports the way he wants to watch them, because it's his choice to do so. And I give myself the choice to leave that area. Well, let's say before I addressed this and I knew that I was a highly sensitive person or that I was intuitive, any of these things, I would have been like, dude, shut the fuck up. You're too loud. I can't handle you right now. And I would have been very aggressive with that person. And that would have made his behavior go to escalate. And it would have then become very toxic between the two of us. But I want to point out that I was the one bringing that out of him. That does not mean that if somebody is aggressive towards you and then you were aggressive at, you're not, there's no victim shaming here in that sense. This is a very specific scenario. There's just two different ways of what I'm saying with toxicity. It really is a fine line. I know for some people it isn't. They don't see that fine line. I do for some people, because some people will say shaming. Let's say your partner shames you and talks poorly about you. There are some people that turns them on. And to other people watching that behavior, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe he's talking to them like that, or she's talking to him like that. Well, maybe they go home and they have a great night out because that's what they're into. They like that in their partner. So long as you're accepting of that and that's what you want, and you know that's what you want, you've addressed your desires, you've addressed your shadow self, you wrote your lists. If it is something you like, fucking enjoy it. That's fine. It's okay. It's for you and your partner. It's not for others. It isn't for others. If it's not hurting anybody, I don't see it as toxic.
Yeah, I think it's personal. And this is where I'm glad that there are these lists that circulate the internet of this is what narcissistic abuse looks like, or this is what emotional manipulation looks like, because I think there are people who are stuck in cycles and they actually don't understand what's going on. And I know that it has been helpful for me in the past to just read a list and be like, oh, am I engaging in any of these things unknowingly? And at the same time, I can pick out behaviors in myself and in my current partner and in my past partners and in a lot of people that I respect, that I know are actually very good at relationships. I can say, oh yeah, that person will do that sometimes, or that person will do that on occasion. They'll slip into that. That's the shadow side. And I don't think you're going to stay in a relationship if you have such a hair trigger reaction to it that you're like, oh, I got to leave right now because, they said this thing that this list on the internet flagged as a potentially emotionally manipulative thing. Doesn't mean you let it go, but it's like you can just address it and be like, hey, it seemed like that was kind of manipulative. How about let's have a different type of conversation? And what you said about, what's toxic for somebody else might not be toxic for you. I think the list of knowing what you want, there's the bullseye, and then there's also where your boundaries are. This is something I got from one of my coaches that really helped me, is that she's like, it's good to know what the bullseye is. And it's pretty unlikely that you're going to hit a bullseye. If you have a list of items, mine was 50 items long. If you have a list of items of things that you want in a partner, it's actually statistically unlikely you will hit a bullseye with every single item. But what you can absolutely have for yourself is somebody who's going to register as genuinely good enough in all those areas if you know where your boundaries are.
Yeah. There's different shades of everything. There's spectrums to any, if it is a thought, there's a spectrum of it. There's spectrums to everything that's out there. And so it just, again, you talked about the boundary piece. If you know where your boundaries are, so you have your lists, you know what you want, what you don't want, the law of attraction will ensure that whatever's closest to you at that exact time, it's going to get you there. So if you're attempting to call in a specific kind of person, as well, what's the most important factors that are on my list of desires? And the universe is going to cultivate that person or persons to you as fast as humanly possible. And like you said, there's no way to hit every single thing because everyone's living their own life. Everyone else is their own spiritual being, and they're living their own lessons and they're living their own creation. And so you'll coexist in somebody's sphere of reality at any given time. And when you guys meet up and you happen to have a lot of the same things on your list, it's going to feel great, even if not everything on your list was met. And some people take that as a form of settling. Settling has a bad rap. It's acceptance. It's understanding. It's what love truly is accepting everyone, from the worst person on the planet, whatever your definition of that is, to the best person on the planet. It's accepting everyone where they are in that moment in time. And once you do that, you release these barriers on your soul, on your mind, on your spirit, on your body, and you automatically feel lighter. And you literally are lighter. You literally let go of the negative vibration into the universe, and you're now just allowing whatever the fuck the universe, what you're calling it, it's going to bring it to you. And again, if your list is super small out there and you don't know what you're interested in, the universe is going to show you things to teach you, hey, do you like this? Oh, no. Okay, we'll try something different. And you can learn from there, get a little buffet taste. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I just wish more women specifically, to kind of bounce back to something you had before, where women feel like at a certain age they're out of time for something. And this is, and male, female, doesn't matter. Time is infinite. Time goes with or without you. You're going to be fucking 45, 55, 60. You're going to get there regardless. Why suffer while you're there? If you realize that you want something other than what you have, your due diligence is to make that happen. And if it happens to be a different person, your due diligence is to respect the person you were with and let them go so that they have an opportunity to do the same thing. We shouldn't just stay with people because we're fucking old. Humans live a really long fucking time now. Even if we didn't, enjoy what you have. The worst that'll happen is you'll learn you didn't like that new thing and you'll do another new thing. Okay. I heard once that there's so many people out there trying to get through something quick enough. Instead of enjoying your journey, you're just trying to get to the end. You're trying to get to the end, your next goal. And you're like, cool, everyone dies at the end of life. Everybody will die at the end of life. So literally, if you're just blasting through your journey and blasting through whatever, you're just trying to die faster. That doesn't make any sense to me. So enjoy where you're at and accept that it changes. And just, if you need a new person in your life, or if you're changing, give the other opportunity to that person you're with to also change. That's what I would say there. Time is infinite.
Yeah, I love that. And I like your distinction between settling and acceptance, because I think it's about abundance versus scarcity. Settling is a scarcity thing. You either settle for something because you don't believe you can have what you really want. But I think that the endless perfectionistic searching is a form of settling, because you're settling for perpetual dissatisfaction. And
Mm,
acceptance is, I'm going to have love. I'm going to have the, what did you call it? The soul aligned, soul nourishing, reciprocal
mm,
love. That's a big part of my work as well. And that's a big part of my personal journey, is that I got to this place where I was like, I'm done with this one sided nonsense. I'm done with loving from afar. I want reciprocal love. And I had to make internal changes to bring that in. And part of the internal changes was letting go of a certain amount of perfectionism and a certain amount of perpetual dissatisfaction with whatever, right? Oh, he's not this, he's not that. He didn't do this exact thing the way I wanted. And to really get clear on, okay, if I want reciprocal love, what's actually important to me? What can I let go of? I would love it if my man put roses on the toilet, but I don't ever need him to do
yeah,
that to be
shit
happy with
roses,
him.
man. I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell
we're
my
gonna,
husband.
I know.
Like I'm gonna send
I
you pictures. Be like, I got my shit roses.
I'm gonna now I kind of wonder if he's gonna do it just to be funny.
This will be a
But
new viral craze.
probably what's gonna happen is I'm gonna do it to be funny and I'm gonna make him laugh. I'm gonna be like, watch, I'm gonna start putting flowers on the toilet for you. And he's gonna be like,
Just a single.
and I just because I know him, he's gonna be like, now I gotta move a rose every time I need to say, why do you it's in my
I'm just
way?
imagining like I'm imagining rose petals like being left from the doorway to
Yeah,
the bathroom with
it'll
just a
be like a
single
running
rose on it.
joke. I want to hear, what is something that somebody can take? What's a first step that somebody can take? Let's say you've been listening to this and you are like, oh, I know what my cycle is. Whatever that is. I think most people, when they really get honest with themselves, they're like, I know what I'm attracting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's say you're listening to this right now and you have had some intuitive hit on what that cycle is for you. Aja, what's a first step that somebody could take to get out of that cycle?
The very first step is be okay with yourself for having done it and say, cool, now I know what I don't want. That's a big step. Now I know what I don't want. And I'll go a step further. The second step is make that list we talked about of what you truly do want or want to try. What does it feel like? What does it look like? How does it look? Where am I going in this relationship that I'm imagining? What does my friendships look like? What does my house look like? Really get detailed in that sucker and just detail out every single thing and just journal that. Try to live it as much as possible. Look at other couples that you think have that and just observe and appreciate that vibration of what you're putting out there. So, step one, be cool with what happened. You know what you don't want now. That's a good place to be. And step two, focus on what you do want. The law of attraction will adjust immediately to bring in what you desire.
Yeah, so true. And when you make that list, state it in the positive. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
write honesty,
Good
not
call.
I don't want a liar. So if you're finding
Yes.
yourself, no more cheaters, no more liars, no more
Yeah.
flip that around. Okay, what do you want? I want an emotionally available man. I want a committed man. I
Yeah.
want a faithful man. Whatever that is, but state that in the positive so that you really are putting the attention on what do I want?
Yes. And something I think a lot of coaches veer from, I know we don't, but a lot of people, if you have a phone that you're listening to this, you probably do have a phone, a cell phone. Use if you're not good with words or you don't feel comfortable with making that list, tell ChatGPT or something, hey, these are the things I don't want in a partner anymore. What's the opposite of that? Or what's the positive of that? And it'll rewrite it for you if maybe you're just not willing to bust out your thesaurus right now or something. That's an easy way and you can print it from there too. You don't have to overthink this shit. The first thing you think of is usually what you want, right? I mean, this even goes down to when people are asking for lunch. What do you want for lunch? You know what the fuck you want for lunch. You know but
Mm.
you're giving the other person the opportunity to have an opinion, but you wanted Mexican food. Just stop lying about it and just get it. It's the same thing. Well, the first thing you think of, that's what you want, go with it.
Solid advice. Thank you so much, Aja. This has been lovely. I knew it would be. Any last words of wisdom?
This word of wisdom is remember you're the main fucking character. Whoever's listening, You are literally the main character of your life. If you are wondering also, how do you figure out what kind of character you are, or the fancy word is archetype, you can check out my free quiz, the Attractor Archetype Quiz. It will tell you what kind of archetype you are, what you're attracting into the world in regards to relationships. And it also gives you a lot of tips, tricks, journal prompts, affirmations. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And it really starts you on your relationship journey with yourself, but also to call in somebody.
Lovely. And you transitioned beautifully into what my follow-up question was going to be, which is what resources do you have for people and how can people find you?
Oh yeah, so the quiz, I'm sure you'll link it in the show notes, but also on my Instagram. I'm all over Instagram, just Aja Daigneault. Don't worry if you misspell it. I'm literally the only one with that long of a name. It will pop up for you. Invincibleus.com is my website. It has all the info that we talked about today, as well as how to reach out to me if you're wanting to chat. I would love to help anybody who's listening. If you are like, man, how do I start this manifestation process? I'm your girl. I'd love to chat with you and give you some ideas, or you can DM me on Instagram. I have a great time having conversations with people, and it's just fun. It's a lot of fun.
Lovely. And who's your ideal client? Who do you really specialize with?
I specialize in women who embrace the woo woo. So if you're in the broom closet, as I say, I help women get out of the broom closet so that they can embrace their witchcraft, their spirituality. I really help women who want to feel empowered and are looking to get out of cycles that have been stuck. They just don't know how to get out of whatever the cycle is. And I really help women I kind of help push them toward their desires a little bit more.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And I love talking to you. And
Yeah.
we are going to do more. We are going to do more
Hell
stuff
yeah,
together.
girl.